Every one of us is tasked with bringing the world to perfection. This week's Parsha reveals a secret to help us do just that. In Parashah Beshalach, we read about the splitting of the sea and the song of praise to Hashem we sing when we cross the sea on dry ground. Now, those of you my age or older have a picture of this scene in your head. We see Charlton Heston standing on a rock by a raging sea proclaiming, "The Lord of hosts will do battle for us, behold his mighty hand." And then in a wonder of 1956 special effects, the sea parts in an instant before our eyes. If you're a little younger than me, you might have the movie The Prince of Egypt in mind and envision Moshe walking into the sea and slamming his staff into the water, causing it to instantly part. Both are certainly memorable scenes, but if we were there 3,500 years ago, what would we have seen? In chapter 14, verse 15 to 16, we read, "Tell the Israelites to go forward, and you lift your rod and hold your arm over the sea and split it, so that the Israelites may march into the sea on dry land." Okay, that sounds a lot like the movie versions. But then we read in verse 21, "Then Moshe held out his arm over the sea, and Hashem drove back the sea with a strong east wind all that night, and turned the sea into dry ground." That sounds a little different. Instead of being a single moment, behold his mighty hand, and the sea instantly splits. Here, the Torah describes a more gradual process. Wind blows all night, creating dry ground. Sounds almost natural. Okay, two different descriptions of in the Parsha. One, a description of an instantaneous miracle. The other, while rooted in natural forces, is no less miraculous. But both of these descriptions share a common root. The Israelites didn't enter the sea until the sea split. They were caught between a rock and a hard place, and they said, "Hashem, this is now in your hands," and waited for the miracle to save them. But the Talmud describes a third version of the splitting of the sea. In this version, our hero is Nachshon, Aaron's brother-in-law. While the Egyptian army is behind them and the sea is before them, Nachshon walks into the water. As the water level gets higher and higher, he keeps walking. When the water level reaches his face, the sea splits, revealing a clear path of dry ground right to the other side, and the Israelites follow him across. Here, the order is reversed. Instead of the Israelites waiting for the miracle to save them, they take proactive action. They have such faith in Hashem that they start to cross the sea even before it actually parts. Well, at least Nachshon did. But there is yet another version, one that I had never heard before this week. Rabbeinu Bachaya says something wild. He says, "Do you know how the sea split? The Jews took one step, and the sea parted one step in front of them. They took another step, and it parted a bit further. Another step, and another one after that, and the sea keeps on parting a few feet at a time until they make it across to the other side. At no time did they see a clear path to the other side. Every single step was with the same faith as Nachshon." We see three models of the sea parting in our tradition. First, you put things in Hashem's hand and with faith that the miracle will come and save you. Two, you take that initial step, that leap of faith, and the miracle comes to show you the path forward. And three, instead of a leap of faith, you take a single step of faith, and then another, and the miracle happens one step at a time. Chaverim, my friends, we need to keep these three models in mind and remember they are all ways in which Hashem's hand can manifest. There have been days since October 7th, days with rockets flying at Israel from the south and north, days when rabid mobs around the world are yelling death to Israel and death to the Jews. On days like that, many of us looked at the situation and may have said to ourselves, "I have no idea how we fix this. Hashem, I leave it in your capable hands." And then pagers begin blowing up, and suddenly the reality changes. The sea parts. Other days, we saw the evil right in front of us and bravely took a step forward. We didn't stand by as misinformation and hate was being being shouted, and we and we confronted those shouting. And when we confronted them, they backed off. Their hate couldn't stand up to someone challenging it. We stepped into the sea with water up to our head, and Hashem cleared the path for us. Other days, like right now, where we have a painful ceasefire with an excruciatingly slow release of hostages. On days like right now, we have to keep moving forward one step at a time and celebrate each miracle of a hostage being reunited with their waiting family. We might not be able to see all the way through to the other side of this. We might not know what comes next week or the week after that, but we keep moving forward with faith that Hashem will keep unparting the sea in front of us until we reach the other side, until all the hostages have come home. Our challenge is knowing which of these three models will happen when, but we have to always remember, just because you can't see through to the other side doesn't mean you shouldn't take our next step. That is one thing we can learn from this week's Parsha. How will you step up this week to bring the world a little closer to perfection? Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisroel Chai.